Hello, Fáilte. This is Lora O'Brien. I am an author and co-founder of the Irish Pagan School, and I'm here putting some of my blog content into video/audio format for your convenience and accessibility. So on the blog, the blog is lauraobrien.ie, and on the blog we have a post called "What is the difference between Druidism and Paganism?" So I'm just going to go through that here. So through the Irish Pagan School mailing list, Mike asked, one question, if I may, what is the difference between Druidism and paganism? As I'm sure you know, there are unlimited resources online and a lot of it is quite confusing and contradictory. I've been doing some reading for a year and a half or so, and it can get a bit overwhelming. As with everything I read on the web, I believe only about a quarter of it. Relatable, anyone? Now, in fairness, I have talked extensively about what paganism is on the blog. You can go to lauraobrien.ie/blog and use the search function. And I also teach a class on the Irish Pagan School called Decolonizing Your Druidry. Basically, though, paganism is a sort of umbrella term with a fairly common set of guidelines or practices as explained in the articles on the blog, as well as many of the videos on my Lora O'Brien YouTube channel. You can see a Pagan Basics playlist there. Under that umbrella, and sometimes a little off to the side because they stubbornly don't want to be under your silly umbrella, they'd rather get wet, thank you very much, sit many different types or paths of paganism, and Druidism is one of those. So most modern Druids are pagan. There are some who would argue, and that's grand, there's even some Christian Druids, but not all modern pagans are Druids. As above, we are differentiating between modern or neo-Druidism and the ancient spiritual practices of these Celtic Isles, Britain, Ireland, and the rest, and continental Europe. To see what was said about the ancient Druids, you can go and search for Druids on my blog at lauraobrien.ie again. In the 1800s Common Era, Druid revivalists began to practice something they said was Druidism. These were British upper class dudes for the most part, sometimes well-meaning, but also incredibly ignorant about factual history by modern standards. And some of them just plain made shit up, probably to inflate their own egos and reputation. It was kind of cool to be a Druid. Some of that shit is still being practiced as ancient parts of festivals and seasonal celebrations for the tourists in Wales. We're looking at you, Iolo Morgannwg, Edward Williams. What about today's neo-Druidism within modern paganism, though? So the difference between Druidism and paganism now. When modern paganism started to gain popularity, probably in the 60s first, then rising in the 70s with Alexander's media notoriety, the difference between Druidism and paganism began to clarify as more people began to practice and publish specifically on each path. Today, the Druid network provides a list of some, quote, commonalities of belief or practice that many Druids can agree on, end quote, given more or less as follows. So point one, truth, maintaining a level of integrity in their everyday lives and seeking the truth for oneself. Point two, meditation, ritual practice, and communion with nature. Point three, polytheism, the worship of or belief in multiple deities, usually of the same pantheon, and most often what they lump together as Celtic. Next point, lost count, point four. Rituals are open to all who wish to attend, and anyone is welcome to train as a Druid. Next point, magical workings, spells, etc. are not the primary focus of Druidry. Next point, many Druids honor nature and do their best to stay ecologically aware and sound in their practices. Next point, they say only 4 festivals, which they list as Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lunasa, are Celtic. And many Druids just celebrate those. But you can find out more about actual Irish pagan holidays and festivals by searching pagan holidays on my blog at loraobrien.ie. Again, there's a lot of content up there, folks. And then next point, service of their gods, community, and their own needs through community service, ecological awareness, keeping one's life in balance and maintaining a respectful spiritual practice. If you have checked out my general pagan practice info, you'll notice that actually there's not a huge difference between Druidism as defined there and paganism. Neo-Druids have just taken a basic pagan practice and made sure that everything is, inverted commas, Celtic, or what they deem as such. In modern Druidism groups and organizations, there are often high levels of misunderstanding or appropriation of the native source, lore, and traditions, unfortunately, and the ethics can truly leave a lot to be desired, in my experience. Yes, even some particular Irish Druid groups, but most often seen from those who are outside of this culture. If you want to practice Druidism, you can, of course, get involved with one of the Druid groups that a quick Google will bring up. For the reasons outlined above, please be careful if that is your choice. My book, A Practical Guide to Pagan Priesthood, will give you a very good grounding in what to expect from leadership when involved with such groups and what is truly not acceptable. So please do educate yourself. Alternatively, as you've learned here, there is very little practical difference between what we just call authentic Irish paganism and what is being billed as Druidry or Druidism in other places. So feel free to take a couple of free classes or the introduction courses over at the Irish Pagan School to get your learning from a genuine native community service based source. So there's links below to our free classes at the Irish Pagan School, or you can just go to irishpaganschool.com and find them. So thank you for your time and your attention as ever, and I will see you next time. Slán go fóill.